everybody. This is Steven Platinum, your friend in wrestling, with Platinum versus Impact Wrestling. This is from March 23rd, 2021. A very solid outing for Impact. I know I'm damning them with faint praise, but it was. It was very solid. And yet, there were a couple things about it that just felt like they didn't feel like a typical Impact show. We didn't have a kind of a scramble match kind of thing happening. We didn't have like a multi-person tag thing happening really. But beyond that, I thought it was a really good show that advanced a couple of things, giving Kenny Omega and Don Callis that much time to speak. And then having Rich Swann have a chance to sort of rebut, I thought was a really cool thing. Really different look for Impact from what I've seen, and I really liked it. They're trying to give that match at their next pay-per-view a real big fight feel. The AEW commercial, in fact, was a little less about poking the Impact bear and more about sort of like advancing their own show, which was actually kind of a nice change of pace here and there. The Tommy Dreamer segment, off the top of my head, where they make fun of AEW, I thought was pretty lame, but their own fan base probably really liked that a lot. D'Lo Brown and Matt Stryker, who I think continue to do a very good job as commentators, especially D'Lo Brown. I'm very impressed. They welcome fans to Impact Wrestling. The sound mix on the piped-in crowd noise was particularly awful tonight, but I will take that over just hearing the ring squeak, which is what Impact was doing not all that long ago, which was fucking terrible. So, Kenny Omega and Don Callis making their way into the studio. I'll be curious to see if they can bump up Impact's numbers, because Impact, they're between 100,000 and 150,000, which isn't all that many. So Kenny Omega could actually swing that, some 10,000 people. We open with Deonna Purrazzo, who I will admit is winning me over. I get what the big deal about her is. She's the champ. She's there with Susan. Looking forward to Susan being Su Yung here in a couple of weeks here in Tampa for WrestleMania week. That's the one I love. Can't wait to see her again. We get along swimmingly. Booked her many times for PCW. I'm taking on Jazz, a undeniable legend of women's wrestling, with Jordan Grace at ringside. Good match, really good outing. Jazz keeping up for sure. But Purrazzo managing to get that win after Susan decks Jazz with her shoe, and Purrazzo rolls her up. I get wanting to protect Jazz, hate that finish, but it is what it is. Deonna Purrazzo wins, and we are off. And there's no repercussions for healing out either, which is just feels weird to me. Backstage, we got Eddie Edwards telling the Good Brothers to leave the guys in the back alone. And as they walk away, they stand face to face with Decay. And in our main event, Eddie Edwards is going to face off against Carl Anderson of the Good Brothers. All right, so we set it up. Johnny Swinger promoting his Casino Palace. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. But it's, I will say this, for a silly vignette, it's better than what the WWE is doing right now. So there's that. And it's something that you're not going to see anywhere else. There's that as well. Backstage, Falaba sleeping. He admits he's fallen on hard times, gambling his money away at Swinger's Palace. Nice little segue there. Raju makes fun of him. Ba challenges him to a match. Up next, the X Division Championship is on the line. Ace Austin with Madman Fulton, who's the champion, against TJP. This match is exactly what you would expect. Really phenomenal stuff. I thought the submission along the ropes in particular, normally I don't point out spots unless they really impress me. That really impressed me. These guys did the kind of match you would expect to see at Impact Wrestling for that title. And sure enough, oh, look at this. TJP's got him down for the pin. He's obviously going to win, but Madman Fulton breaks up the pin. So a DQ win, but no title for TJP. Josh Alexander, though, runs in with a chair, sending Austin and Fulton out of the ring. A tag match to come at some point? I would guess so. Yay, angles. Gia Miller sitting down with Matt Cardona. He cuts a pretty good promo here. Nothing that's really like super exciting, but he makes it clear he doesn't want to reform his tag team partnership with Myers. And then he said if Myers has a problem with that, he should meet him in the ring. Ooh. Backstage, Trey Miguel is fired up after his big loss against Sami Callihan, which happened last week. I do like that in their own way. Impact makes wins and losses matter. That guys, aren't happy when they lose and, something else comes of it. I think that's good. So Trey Miguel's kicking a bag because he's mad. He's mad every time he gets mad. And XXL, them big boys, come over and confronts him about it. Tommy Dreamer comes over to defuse the situation by making that terrible joke about the cage explosion from AEW. Boo. Miguel wants AC Romero tonight. Now we get the match made earlier between Falaba and Rohit Raju. A good match here. I mean, this was kind of a foregone conclusion to me. I'm like, Fa's probably going to get rolled up at some point and not be able to kick out. And that's exactly what happens. Raju gets the win. Gia Miller's outside of Kenny Omega and Don Callis' locker room. They come out, but they refuse to talk to her. Then we get an AEW commercial, and Omega is there with Don Callis. They promote their show and talk about Matt Sydal, who's going to face Omega in a match. Omega isn't happy about that. Tony's looking particularly smug this week. And I thought it was interesting that Don Callis made sure he took up the center of the frame. That's an old pro. The Good Brothers are looking for Omega and Callis backstage, but they can't get an answer at their door, so they didn't want to look like marks, so they walk away. And that's because Omega and Callis are already heading to the ring. They cut a very long promo, just being annoying, over-the-top, arrogant dicks. It works. It's heel stuff. What do you want? It goes on for a very long time. And then they have a vignette about Violent by Design in a prison, apparently, talking about how they have woken Rhino up to be the violent war machine he has been born to be. Good stuff here. They're getting a lot without just having nameless, faceless, unimportant matches. And I'm here for it. Backstage, Gia Miller speaking with Havoc and Nevaeh. They patch their friendship up, okay, and they want to go after the Knockout Tag Team titles. The champions Fire and Flavor interrupt. They have a little squabble. They leave, and then Tennille Dashwood and Caleb, with a K, try to stir the pot by asking Nevaeh to join their group. Dun, dun, dun. Intrigue. Now we get our AC Romero, who's with Larry D. His match, AC Romero's a big guy, really, really big, against Trey Miguel. And as the theme for the night, I predict, Trey Miguel's going to win. And he does with the Meteora. It's nice to see that move, which is like a double knees from the top rope thing where he to a standing opponent and takes him down to the mat. It's nice to see that actually get a win. I don't know why that made such an impression on me. I do like that Impact does stuff where it's like, yeah, that should be a finisher. Hey, look, it is. Yay. But AC Romero and Larry D ambush Trey Miguel. And they're beating him down, but then Sami Callihan shows up, but then he helps out Trey, and then Callihan disappears. Intrigue. They got a lot of irons in the fire at Impact, and I think it's great. They're definitely trying to advance stuff and make stuff happen and not just rush. They're putting more thought into building up their pay-per-view at a proper pace than WrestleMania this year. WrestleMania, they're rushing everything to the gate. I mean, WrestleMania is in like a week and a half, and they're just basically announcing a lot of the card. Which is insane to me. Backstage, Rich Swann, he's not intimidated by Kenny Omega and Don Callis' comments, and he's going to prove them wrong at Rebellion. That's the long and short of it. Cool. Backstage, again, we got James Storm. He's coming up on his 1,000th match, which is a pretty awesome milestone, actually. He wants to make the match special by facing Eric Young. And Scott D'Amore, the executive vice president, is there, and he agrees that next week they should have a match. But instead of being a singles match, it'll be the main event. The main event. That's nice. And now the main event. Carl Anderson against Eddie Edwards. A good and decent match. Both of these guys can go. That's for show. And at the end, Carl Anderson's tag partner, Gallows, decks him with a chair, and then Carl Anderson rolls him up. Boo, cheaters. Post-match, Finjuice, who are the new tag champs, having beaten the Good Brothers, But they're not going to take them on for a while because they're in Japan. They taunt the Good Brothers. They make all these Japanese references. All these, we're going to have a drink for you. Hee hee, haha. It is to laugh. And that's the end of the show. Good job, Impact. What can I say? This is a show that at one point I was like, I got to stop watching this bullshit. And I've come around. Not bad.